This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Charlie Krall, of course, who is the PR director of the ARCA Menard series. Charlie, a pretty good 9 days for you. Of course, you were on the call for the World Series of Asphalt, of course, at New Smyrna, as well as the ARCA East race. And of course, you were also at Daytona. But first off, before we get into all the Daytona stuff, how do you think the whole week went for you guys?
Oh, it was great. We had a real good time over at New Smyrna Speedway, the Flow Racing partnership there with the NASCAR Roots platform really kicked into high gear there. I'm just very optimistic for the remainder of the season. I think there's going to be a lot of great racing. There already is a lot of great racing on Flow Racing, and I think adding our content to that's going to be even better. I'm very, very high on everything we did down there. There's always room for improvement. There's always, a learning process anytime that, a new program is coming together like that. But from my perspective, it was a rousing success.
How do you think mostly the ARCA Daytona race went for you guys? Because what a way to kick off the season. 36 cars out there, most since 2018, I believe, in car count. So
yeah,
a lot of guys were out there for that race.
Yeah, from our perspective, it was a great week, man. We didn't have any issues in practice or qualifying. The incidents in the race were, I hate to call the crash there at the end with Drew Dollar relatively minor, but all things considered, it was relatively minor. They didn't really, we never had the big one, so to speak, and I thought it was great. Corey Heim getting his second straight win, and Venerini Motorsports getting their fifth straight win. There were some great names running up at the front of the field, all, different names running at the front of the field. I mean, Tim Richmond was a lap and a half away from scoring a third place finish, and then Sean Corr with a great fourth place run. Andy Jankowiak coming home sixth, a career best for him. And that's that is a small group of, volunteers and friends and, anybody that Andy can talk into helping out on that program. It's a great story. And there's so many of those great stories. And, here a story that probably no one talked about that whole week is Brian Keltrader. Brian lost everything he had. All of his racing equipment was lost in a fire 2 years ago. And he was back out there, so it's great to see Brian Keltrader back out. I thought it was great. I know, Casey, that, there are going to be some folks out there who are going to throw us under the bus on a couple of things. And hey, if you're not learning from mistakes, you're not learning. That's the only way you do learn is when you make mistakes. And, were there some? Sure. We're humans, we're not perfect, but all in all, I'm gonna give us a 97 out of 100 on that. I thought it was a real great week.
So obviously, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to bring you on is because I know there were a lot of conversation from a lot of us, and a lot of fans were wondering some of the things that they saw during the race. The first one was the miss the field. One of the restarts. There were a lot of cars everywhere. Misaligned cars. Kind of explain that from Marcus' perspective. So
I can't really explain it, Casey. I don't really know what happened there. Every now and then you'll just get a situation where, a couple of drivers will have a disagreement on who should be where, and they will argue it out on the racetrack, and that's what was going on. And we initially were going to levy a penalty to Nick Sanchez and have him make a pass through down pit road, and they came and pled their case, and we reversed the penalty. And the cause that was given was there were multiple cars out of alignment, and I can't go in too much more than that. If there were multiple cars out of alignment, that's the reason. And if you want to ask, well, why did you go green when so many cars were out of alignment? I can't answer that either. I don't have a comment. I don't know. I think sometimes when you see a situation like that, you assume there's only one car out of position.
Right.
And when you see cars stacked 3 wide, you're assuming, well, everyone else is in the right spot.
Yeah.
One is out of position. I think it's likely that we went back and took a look at it, and what we initially thought we saw, we didn't see. And rather than penalizing one person or multiple people, we just kind of let it slide. And that happens. I mean, it's people are human. We often think we see one thing when we actually saw something else. And the great thing about it is it didn't really impact the outcome of the race one way or the other. And I think we'll just as we're fond of saying, onward and upward. We'll go on to the next one.
Yeah. The cost, I know that, of course, you mentioned Drew Dollar. Of course, the reason why I know ARCA didn't throw the caution was because, the 18 wasn't in apparent danger and there were no other cars that were coming. Is that true?
So when Drew Dollar crashed coming off of turn 2, the entire field was in the same pack. And Drew got into the outside wall. And by the time we could have thrown the caution, all of the cars that were at speed on the racetrack were already past him. So when they race back, they're going to cross the start finish line and complete the final lap of the race. And they're going to immediately slow down because that's what they're instructed to do in the driver's meeting. There was no delay in getting safety services to Drew Dollar because we left the green light out and let them race back on that final lap. That's one of those situations, Casey, where we're always on the final lap. We will put the caution flag out. We're not afraid to do it. If there were cars coming at speed and we felt Drew was in a dangerous position, we absolutely would have put that caution flag out and slowed that race down and gotten the safety vehicles out there and attended to them, and absolutely would have done that. But we also want to give our teams and our drivers and our fans every opportunity to finish that race under the green. And we were able to do that. And it doesn't matter what side of the fence that we're on. If we choose to throw the caution, half the people are going to be upset we didn't race back to the checkered. If we race back to the checkered, half the people are going to be upset that we didn't throw the caution flag. And some of those people are going to be upset no matter what we do. So, we're not going to change how we operate in those situations based on chatter on social media. We've got a really good, solid group of people who have been in charge of this series for, Ron Drager he's been to every ARCA race since his grandfather passed away back in 1981. That's 41 years. He's been in charge since 1996. I think he knows what he's doing. I absolutely never second guess a call that comes from our tower because I know that they're trying to do the right thing for multiple constituencies, and right. Are there times where I'm disappointed that our races, our super speedway races end under caution? Absolutely. I was the biggest proponent of multiple green, white checker finishes, even at Daytona and Talladega. Remember that one we had several years ago where we had 4 attempts and Brett Holmes is sliding down the backstretch on his side, and Chase Purdy is wadded up over there in turn 3 and 4, and we collectively, I say we, ARCA and our teams, like we had millions of dollars worth of destroyed race cars after that, and our teams came to us and said, look, this is unsustainable. These are the cars that we've got to take to Talladega in 2 months, and they're junk. We got to go build a brand new race car, and some of that you assume that risk, but I think there is I think you increase the chances of that happening dramatically when you give somebody 2 laps to get up to speed and get all you can get. So it's more of a self-preservation thing than anything. And yeah, I understand. It seems like 1 lap isn't enough time to really get up to speed, and but at the same time, we don't want to hurt anybody, and we don't want to destroy half the field and hurt car count going forward. So it's just all about finding that balance, Casey. And right now we're pretty happy with where that balance is.
Okay, you just kind of mentioned it right there. You talk
Right. I answered your question without you asking it, right?
I know. Well, no, it's just like I know everyone is, with the one lap shootout thing, and I know that's probably been the biggest topic of conversation lately.
I haven't heard a single word about it from anyone other than you.
Oh, come on. This, and of course the super speedway package too. First off, I know that you and I talked last night about why you guys did what you did, and you just kind of explained it right there.
Yep.
Why did you impose the one lap shootout? Obviously, it was all the
I
Daytona.
just said it. It is a safety thing. It is a cost thing. It is a self-preservation thing. Our teams don't have the unlimited budgets that cup teams do, or even an Xfinity team. They've got 5 times the budget that our teams have. Our teams can't just go and throw away a race car. They can't do it. And while that may happen, just based on the nature of racing at Daytona and Talladega to begin with, when we put them into position 2 laps to go in a race, and the aggression level, which starts out at 10, then goes to 100 for 2 laps, it's, like bad things are going to happen, and we saw that race in 2018, Casey, and I loved it. I was a fan at that point. I loved it. It was great television, but I don't have to pay for those race cars. And, now working for the sanctioning body, that's a great concern of ours, is how are our teams going to survive? And putting them in a position where half the field's going to tear up their equipment, we just don't want to do that. And we have come up with a green, white, checkered system that we believe is fair and allows our teams and our drivers and our fans a really good chance of seeing a green flag finish and a great chance of not tearing up more than half the field as they build up speed. That's really is key to us. We just don't want anybody to get hurt. We don't want to lose race cars, and we still want to get to the finish.
And the teams asked for specifically the one lap.
They absolutely were integral in coming up with this system. Correct.
All right.
Our teams had a great voice in where we're at.
All right. Talk about the super speedway package for ARCA. That's not changing at all, is it?
Why would we? It's great. It offers our teams and our drivers, many of which are young and have never been there before. It offers them a very stable race car that isn't going to jump out from underneath you. It doesn't, it's fast. Don't get me wrong. It's still fast, but it's not, white knuckle fast. It's not, 220 going into the corners. It's a relative, as race packages at Daytona and Talladega go, it's a relatively safe, conservative package that allows everybody to go out there and compete on a relatively level playing field. And, again, we are a driver development series. We certainly want, the career racers, the Andy Jankowiaks and the Greg Van Alsts and the Will Kimmels and those folks. We love having those guys here, but we also want the Corey Himes and the Drew Dollars and the Tony Breidingers and the Amber Belkins and, the drivers who are looking to progress up the ladder. And we need to give them a safe platform to do that. Sending them to Daytona with the spoiler laid back at 10 degrees and, 800 horsepower and, running 230 miles an hour. That's not safe for drivers who don't have a lot of experience. And we're very happy with this package, Casey. It provides an opportunity to get out there and run side by side. You can run side by side with this package. You can pass. It teaches you all you need to learn, and it does so without really lap by lap putting a bunch of people at risk while doing it.
Were you pleased by the East car count at New Smyrna?
I was pleased. I mean, we did have 18 entries on the list. A couple of them had some issues that morning that they weren't able to answer the bell. I really would have liked it if those 18 on the list took the green flag, but you know, it's at 16 cars we were stable from last year. I would like to see it go up a little bit, and from what I understand, it will go up when we get to 5 flags. I think we'll have an extra couple of cars there, which will be great. That's what I would like to see, just an increase from year to year.
Yeah. And of course, ARCA is going to be, you guys got a bit of a break coming up here in the next few weeks, but obviously the ARCA East race at 5 flags, and then the main ARCA race will be at Phoenix, which also will kick off the ARCA Menard Series West. And we're expecting a lot of cars for that race. And you guys did something a few weeks ago as well for this race at Daytona. You guys increased the field to 40 cars.
Yeah, we'll start 40 cars out at Phoenix if we have them, and all indications are we will. So, yeah, I think we're expecting 22 to 24 West cars. I think we'll expect our normal, 16 to 18, national tour teams to make the trip out West, maybe a couple of others. Yeah, I think it'll be great. I think we'll have a very competitive field out there, and based on how that West series was last year, Casey, I think we actually might see some of those West teams get up there and fight for the win out there. It'll be cool to see.
Oh, it will be. Just to make it clear, once 40 cars is the limit, obviously if we get more, you're gonna have to send some cars home.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. And of course you'll change it back to normal landscapes once we get back, because I think it's 36 for
Correct.
super speedway races like Talladega, Michigan, and all that, and then 35 for the short tracks.
Casey, I mean, things are always, nothing's ever set in stone, but yeah, that's the plan.
Okay. All right. Well, Charlie, Krall, thank you so much for coming on and talking about ARCA. We'll of course have you on in a few weeks for the ARCA preview show before Phoenix. Thanks again.